The 2024 election is in just a few weeks, and as with every election, there's always the topic of gun control. So in today's video, we're going to go over my 5 recommendations of what guns you should buy before the election and before any potential assault weapons bans. Number 1, the AR-15. As you know, AR-15 is the most popular rifle in the United States of America, and it's also the most hated rifle by certain political parties. It's always a good idea to own one of these, not just for shooting, plinking, but for self-defense, personal protection, stuff like that. If certain political groups could snap their fingers at an instant and remove every one of these from the country, I believe they would. In my opinion, that's another reason to own one. And if you already have one of these, a couple of them, 3 or 4 of them even, set up like you like them, one for long range, one for short range, one for home defense, one for hunting, and so on and so forth, a good idea would be to buy a few extra lower receivers. So as you know, with the AR-15, the only serialized portion of the gun is the lower receiver. So if you buy a few of these and have them stored, in the future, during any potential assault weapons bans, you could, in theory, build out 2 or 3 more rifles, depending on how many lowers you have, even if there's a current assault weapons ban going. It's always a good idea to have a few of these on hand. They're dirt cheap these days. Like, I'm not gonna name numbers, but just really, really, really cheap. So it's always a good idea to have a few extra on hand for the future. So next up, we have handguns. Now, handguns are not in the news as much. They're not as big, flashy, scary, but the same people that do not want you having magazine-fed AR-15s probably don't want you having magazine-fed semi-auto pistols either. And when you think about it, these pistols are used way more than any AR-15 style rifle for self-defense, because there's millions of Americans out here that conceal carry pistols every day, just like this SIG P365X Macro. These pistols are getting smaller, more compact, easier to shoot. So more and more people are concealed carrying these days, which in my opinion is a good thing and helps alleviate some crime. But at the same time, there's still people who do not want any type of semi-automatic firearm. With that being said, I think it's imperative that as many people as possible own these, just to show how many are out there in the wild, and that the thought of outlawing them or banning them or confiscating them is just an absurd idea. So the more that are out there, the harder and harder that becomes to do to the public. So AR-15, definitely have one. A semi-automatic concealed carry duty style handgun is my definite number 2. Everybody should own one of these, train with them, and be proficient using them. So next up, we have suppressors. And I know what you're thinking. A suppressor is not technically a firearm, but they are classified and regulated the same way. You know, there's certain groups of people out there in government that don't want you to have the capability of suppressing your rifle, pistol, shotgun, anything. Some politicians would like you to think that when you put a suppressor on here, it just completely silences the gun, but we all know that that's not true. It lowers the volume to a semi-hearing safe level. So it's not like, you know, assassins are out there all over the world just quietly shooting people with suppressors. It doesn't work like that. But there's still a lot of people in power that don't want you to have them. You know, the suppressor ownership route is being made easier and easier every year, but it's still a little intimidating for people who haven't done it before. So just know that it's as easy as it has ever been. You can do most of it online. So just start the process. It's once you get a suppressor, whether it be for your 5.56 like this Surefire can, or like on this MPX where I have a Yankee Hill R9, shooting suppressed, to me personally, is a lot more fun than shooting unsuppressed. So once you get a can, the rabbit hole opens and you just start buying more and more, which that's been my experience. Like right here, I have this Dead Air Mask 22, and this is by far my most fun gun to shoot. So there's not a whole lot to it. It's just super fun, super easy, and I would highly recommend you guys get some suppressors. So next up, we have shotguns, and I'm not talking about your grandpappy's double barrel. I'm talking more of your magazine-fed or your tube-fed auto-loading shotguns. Now, you may see a pattern: semi-auto rifles, semi-auto pistols, and now semi-auto shotguns. I just believe that certain groups out there don't want anything semi-automatic, or, you know, in their terms, fully semi-automatic, or anything like that. If they had their way, we'd have single shot shotguns, single shot hunting rifles. Maybe even we wouldn't even have anything. That's why I think it's important to own these, so that, like I said earlier, it's just that much harder to take them away. So, like I said, we have here a Sega 12 magazine fed shotgun. This is, you know, this is a liberal's nightmare. And if that isn't bad enough, they definitely hate to see you with one of these. And for my last recommendation, I'm gonna go with the AK. So according to any major news network, the AR and the AK are basically the same thing because they're confused for each other all the time. But these, not so much recently, but you know, in the past 10, 12 years, these were super available. And a lot of really solid manufacturers from more of the Russian countries that are now no longer available. So these are not as widely available now, which, I mean, you could go in any gun store and probably find one or two. But it's not like the AR where there's 50 different ones on a gun store shelf. So these are still really solid. And the ammo's not too expensive. And there's a ton of magazines available for them still. So all that combines to say that, you know, certain groups probably don't want you to have one of these either. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below, what are your top 5 guns that you would recommend? You know, this is just my personal list. There may be some that I'm forgetting, so let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, please drop us a like and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys in the next video.